since I laid my eyes on you, my baby. I just want to make your dreams come true, my lady.
Welcome back, beautiful goddesses, to this week's episode of a Goddess Life podcast with myself, Erin, and the beautiful, soulful channel, Anna, because this episode will be airing on the new moon in Virgo. And Virgo is typically strategy, organization, checklists. I feel like it's an energy that is masculine. It's earthy, it's grounded, it's structured. And that's the beauty of Virgo energy. I feel like this is important that it's a new moon in Virgo because that's the underpinning, the unconscious, our inner realms. And Anna and I really felt called to illuminate very clear indicators your inner masculine has shifted. And these are not indicators that you might perceive as confirmations that you shifted into a different realm internally with your inner masculine, but they're very clear signs. And I know both Anna and I have experienced these, and we've both witnessed it around us occurring just in dynamics with other people. We're just going to dive into this conversation here and let it roll where it needs to roll. And if any guidance comes through from my guides or from Anna's as a collective team to support the awakening and the balancing and the shifting of new beginnings, well, then so be it, in alignment with the feminine goddess and the wisdom and intuitive hidden realms. So one of the things, and as listeners, please let us know if you're experiencing this too, or observing this or noticing this in your life. And I don't know if you can hear it, but there is a cardinal right outside my window and it's pouring rain and it's just chirping nonstop. So if you're hearing that in the background, that's what that is. Now, one of the things that I know that I have experienced that is a clear indicator you've shifted your masculine energy is suddenly observing people or being in circumstances where others are relating to an old version of you. So, for example, for me personally, at an event with a lot of incredible souls, some of the souls that were there were attempting to engage with me from a lower version of who I was. And I don't say lower as in less than. I mean, a version of me where my masculine energy did not support my feminine intuition, wisdom, and my expertise. You could call it confidence or lack thereof, but it was really obvious from a detached sense that some people were engaging with me as if I were less than them. As I witnessed it, I found it odd or strange. I noticed I triggered some people who had not explored the expansiveness of the realms of grief, the realms of goddesses, the realms of intuition, psychic development, and mediumship, that they were triggered and feeling like their way was the only way and that all the other ways weren't quite where it was at. So I noticed that in the dynamic as well. Those are all indicators that my inner masculine has shifted out of that old version of me that allows people to engage with me on that level. And I say this because there was a third group of souls who completely perceived who I was, recognized energetically the frequency, not for 1 second disrespected me or felt that I wasn't an expert in my field. Now, the thing that stuck out for me was we're night and day compared to the interactions with others who hadn't quite perceived who I was energetically. So there was like this range of three. And when I came back, there was this clear understanding that when you have balanced and you've stepped into a inner masculine shift, this means you're supporting yourself. You know, unequivocally, you can detach and observe and say, yeah, I'm the expert in me, not you and your projection of who you think I am, what you think I am doesn't necessarily make it true. that's a significant shift to be able to witness. And sometimes some people will view that as, oh, these people aren't getting me and my work isn't working and this isn't happening. It's the same old energy. But it's not the same old energy. You're being given the opportunity to witness the profound shifts you made in your own energy, your own boundaries, supporting yourself, having your own structure, and understanding that, well, it may not be everyone's structure, it is your structure for a reason. And then, there's also the people who are triggered by your inner masculine balance, particularly triggered because it's different than theirs. And that was very prevalent and obvious for me as well. And then, in addition, the third set of souls, which are the ones I like to focus on, which are your confirmation check mark that, yeah, you have aligned your inner masculine and we're perceiving it because we've been working on those things too. Or we're so confident in ourselves. We are not jealous, triggered, or feeling less than or in lack. For a lot of women, we have been rebalancing, yes, our inner feminine, but you can't rebalance your inner feminine without your inner masculine going through a complete overhaul as well. They're two halves of the whole, and we hold each of them within us. So as we've all been, rising up in our inner feminine, our inner masculine has been going through this overhaul. And I feel like Virgo, although it's not considered to be really a masculine energy, I attune to the masculine aspect of it, which is structure, method, support, alignment, the ability to act, the ability to set boundaries, the ability to create the list and take the actions, because your masculine energy is action, and check it all off your to-do list. You're not fighting with yourself like, oh, well, maybe I should give some of myself away or sacrifice some of myself over there to accommodate what this person thinks about me, for the people who you've triggered or whatever it is. There's like these dynamics, and I don't know that I'm making this nice and neat and pretty, like key point one, key point two, as if it's black and white. But my guides are showing up here saying it isn't black and white. And there are so many nuances, and how we relate to other people and how other people relate to us holds profound gifts right now. They're also saying when your inner masculine has shifted, all the other energies you used to be aligned with, those become glaringly obvious in your face. They seem like it's more, but it's not more. You're actually being given a relational experience to offer an illumination to show you that that's where your energy was in those dynamics. And now, because you're no longer in that, you shifted your inner masculine, you're going to experience them as in like, whoa, hold on here, as if you're doing it wrong, but you're not doing it wrong. They're all clear indicators that you have shifted your masculine energy. You are now supporting yourselves. You're being given opportunities to set boundaries, to stand up for yourself, to honor yourself, to say no to things that just aren't aligned with you or people who do not see you, and to redirect your focus into those that do and those that are aligned, because that's what your inner masculine does. It creates these structures, these boundaries, these understandings of who you are, and different pathways based on your feminine intuition and your wisdom and your flowingness of what your soul is saying. Your inner masculine is your inner house. Your inner feminine is the inner soul, I guess you could say, if we want to compartmentalize it there. Because when we work on one, when we work on the soul, the structures that our masculine energy held where our soul wasn't quite online, or we didn't quite get it, or we were sacrificing ourselves, it never really gets to rise. But when it does start rising, that's when our inner masculine starts shifting. So I just feel like at this time, for me personally, those experiences all in one fell swoop in one area, I was able to observe without needing to correct people, without needing to tell people, well, I'm this, without needing to do that. I could simply observe and have curiosity about this process, right? I had all three there. It was actually ideal to be able to see all three different types of energies. and what I aligned with and what I didn't, and then to unpack or to reflect on why some of those other energies were at the frequency or the experience that they were, because it does take two. I understand that everything is a reflection of you. As they say, you're the creator of your own world. But relational values are meant to teach us more about who we are and who we are not. And sometimes people show up as something that you are not, so that you can affirm, I am not that. And so that you can affirm, I am this. So I get that everybody's a reflection of you, but I also wish to recognize another truth is that sometimes people are not reflecting you to you, they're reflecting themselves, projecting it at you. And it's a different dynamic. And there's power in both perceptions and both viewpoints when it comes to personal growth, self growth, discovery, expansion, and just understanding who each of us really are individually, personally. I don't ever want to say, everybody's a reflection of you as if that is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because there are other truths that are just as true and the whole truth and nothing but the truth in another moment. And they both have value. Hence why inner masculine and inner feminine both have value. And we've really just gone through, think about a new moon in Virgo, new strategy, new structure to align you with your divine destiny, which requires your inner masculine to be in balance. It requires it to be its highest version of itself, to support yourself, to act on behalf of yourself in your best interests. And I feel like a lot of the collective who are on the journey of this inner balancing and in the process of ascension and shifting to their highest timeline are probably going to resonate with the fact of being shown or given these opportunities to see these dynamics of disempowering inner masculine energies, where we have simply just not had the support structure system within us to be able to support ourselves, and seeing how that shift has impacted us and continues to impact and affect us, which brings us further into alignment and a rooted, grounded sense of self. So now that I've kind of gone on my own tangent about my experience, and this has been through the last 2 months, I've experienced this. How have your experiences been around that? Because I know you've had some wild ones too. And I'm really curious to be able to hear how that's gone for you or how you've perceived it.
So, just a little backdrop. I've always been a massive people pleaser. The absolute worst thing I could ever imagine was someone saying that I and what the things that I did were not good enough. It would trigger the hell out of me, and I would do perfectionism. I was a good girl. I did so much more than I had to do. So, of course, that's been one of the things I've been working so much on the last few years. And the last few months, and especially the last couple of weeks, specific situation has played out where this exact blueprint of a situation happens, where I do a type of work. I am proud of the work that I do. I'm proud of how I build everything, the structure, how I communicated, how I argumented. And after sort of the case was done, a different party comes in and say, no, this is not good enough. You have not done enough, which is like the specific things that would make me crash 3 or 4 years ago. And somehow I have managed to stay rooted in myself, just knowing that no, I did all the right things. Everything I've done has been as good as I could do them. Of all the energies that I was guided to work with, Serapis Bey has been so strong and loud for especially the last week for me. It's really interesting what you talk about the masculine, because he is such a safe, good energy.
Mm-hmm.
And today, when we are recording this, there was this big meeting, and I was so, so nervous, like this extreme nervousness. And I called on him, please just stay with me, be here. And calmness came over me, like taking me out of my body into this white, clear, open space where there was no distractions, no limiting beliefs, no critical voices, just this calmness and love and presence. And I could see everything that was happening around me, completely detached. What will happen will happen. It doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean anything about what I did and what I will do. It just is. And that was so freeing to sit in the knowing
Mm-hmm.
that I, as the soul, I'm good enough, more than good enough, just the way that I am. I don't need to look outside of myself for people to say that.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I have the same experience. It's not emotional, it's not coddling. I always have found when that energy has showed up with me with Serapis Bey, it feels very sixth dimensional because it's very structured and it allows you to observe the dimensions that have created it up to that point in time. And it's always a masculine energy for me. It always is about the structure of creative processes. The creativity is there, but the structure is what allows it to come into a form. And inner masculine, when our inner masculine, okay, he's saying this, when your inner masculine is out of sync, out of alignment, not in support of the inner feminine, you will begin to move outside of yourself to please others. He's like showing me, like, if this is your avatar, your body, we move outside of ourselves to control things so that the inside of ourselves can feel better. And that's also another indicator that when you stop doing that, you say, no, I'm good here. I'm staying right where I am. I don't need to go outside of myself to prove to you this, to say this, or it's staying within your, I don't want to say sphere. I'm not really sure what word to use that, but in your body, in your presence, in your center point of your energy. And when your inner masculine is out of balance, those are people pleasers, self-sacrificers, sabotaging the self in different dynamics, and going outside of yourself to accommodate others in the illusional belief or the idea or concept or the conditioning that in order for you to be good, you must please those outside of you and they must perceive you that way. That's also part of the dismantling of a distorted masculine energy or an imbalance of the masculine energy within each and every one of us. Someone who is truly in an authentic, grounded, deeply empowered and peaceful, balanced masculine energy is capable of hearing multiple other perceptions, ideas, and beliefs without needing to go outside of themselves to affirm themselves. And also, it does not, I'm hearing it becomes an unshakable foundation because other people's differing beliefs does not change their belief about who they are intrinsically. That is one of the, I'm Serapis Bey is saying that is one of the highest elevated states of a divine masculine or an inner masculine. And when I say divine masculine, I just want to pop this in here. We're all divine masculines and we're all divine feminines. We have both energies inner, but there's also men and women outside in the world in physical avatars that do have a gender. The divine masculine, if we're looking at genders or inner or outer, it doesn't really matter. We're all divine masculines, we're all divine feminines, we all have both inside of us. The purpose of the label divine, and they're giving me in quotes, is that you've risen above the lower densities or frequencies, the imbalances, the distortions, and the illusions, and balanced it within you. That's when you enter into the state of being or the frequency field of the embodiment of the divine masculine or the divine feminine. But in truth, every soul birthed upon the earth that incarnates in a body holds divine masculine and divine feminine energy within them. They are always that, but there are multiple layers of illusions, distortions, and things on top of it that kind of shroud its truest nuance. And what is ascension? It's opening all of that up to reveal that divinity and disintegrating and dissolving all of the illusions, the abandonment, the trauma, the betrayals, the hurt, the projections, the you over me or you versus them. And you simply become a whole structure within the self. And Serapis Bey is saying the integrity of that energy gives you access to a profound amount of power within you, a profound amount of presence, and a state of empowerment that allows you to see how you affect, impact, and shape the world around you in the smallest of ways, whether it's by a thought or an emotion or an energy. But one does not truly recognize that unless they have been able to observe with awareness all of the different energies that may be in one single place. This is the beauty of awareness, observation. This is also why it is, I don't want to say imperative, but maybe it is for some of our listeners. But he's saying this is also why that is part of the ascension. That is why we call on higher dimensional frequencies. Think about when you go to a mentor or a teacher in the body, you go there to learn, to open yourself, to expand into something more. Thus, it is the same with channeling or connecting with higher dimensional frequencies. It is exactly the same because with every dimension, you learn, you are opened up, you are engaged in frequencies that are, I don't want to say greater than, but have a greater breadth, height, and depth than the dimension you were at prior to it. In this way, we use channeled masters, ascended masters, and these frequencies. And he's saying, which we wish to note, arrive to each soul when they are ready. You can call on us and we will arise. But if there's someone else that you need or a different frequency that is needed prior to that, then typically that's what's going to arrive. What's also true, he's saying, is when you feel drawn to a certain occultism or esotericism or higher dimensional beings or certain soul family teachings that maybe aren't part of your incarnated everyday family, you're drawn to those things because those are the teachings that you need energetically and spiritually. And it's also an indicator and an invitation for you to begin to open up to that journey. Serapis Bey also says you are all willing participants in your evolution. Because you are all willing participants in your evolution, you also have the free will to introduce resistance or cling out of fear into not being a participant. And he says, no matter what, you're a participant, whether you choose to stand still for a significant amount of time or you choose to evolve rapidly or open rapidly, it does not really matter. It will be exactly what is necessary for your soul to do that. But he says the inner masculine energy is potent, it's powerful, and it's the container that every soul is being asked to expand, to strengthen, to root and ground in a healthy, balanced, empowered presence kind of a way. We can talk about men and women all day long, is what I want to say, little Erin now. We can talk about men and women all day long and masculine and feminine. But the truth is, you can't just raise one up and expect the other to stay where it is. It's this constant, I'm seeing the scales of balance. It's this constant balancing act between, I'm going to honor and respect this intuitive feminine wisdom part of me or my knowing or whatever it is in that feminine realm. Then I got to get my structure to kind of come and envelope that. We're going to break down these walls here that didn't allow that. And now we're going to build them up. Serapis Bey says, your inner, Oh, I was going to say your inner masculine, but he's crossing that out. He says, just as all goddesses have reverence and respect for the teaching of the gods, if you're rolling in the gods and goddess realm, so too must you understand that the masculine energies, higher dimensional frequencies, and gods, he's got that in labels, gods or ascended masters in quotations as well as a label. Make no mistake, they honor, have reverence, and respect for the feminine energy. For in the higher dimensional frequencies, we are fully and completely aware that one needs the other. One does not exist without the other. After all, why build a structure if there is no flow for it to house and hold? And why have flow and beautiful wisdom if there is no structure to bring it into a form? In this way, there is I'm hearing awe-inspiring. There's an awe-inspiring balance and extreme power that becomes accessible to individuals who go on this journey of balancing their inner masculine and inner feminine. And I'm really grateful that not only have you been calling for Serapis Bey and have been experiencing the spiritual, energetic, thoughtful, and physical presence of that, I guess, ascended master. I'm getting Egyptian pyramid, so maybe that's the time frame that it's coming up for. And I'm hearing Arcturian. It's part of an Arcturian dimensional aspect or teaching as well, which really is a sixth density too. I'm grateful for that because I know over the years, Serapis Bey randomly showed up. And I remember when he first showed up, I didn't like the energy because it was too masculine for me. And I'm a deeply emotive person. I roll with intuition, whether logic agrees with it or not, whether it seems like it was correct or not. To me, I've been so fluid with the hidden realms and the intuitive realms and understanding that nothing's in form without that energy behind it, because nothing comes into a form without the energy. Energy precedes any form being able to take place. That I struggled with Serapis Bey, and I'm pretty sure on my YouTube channel, on Channel Your Light, there's a couple of channels on there where he just showed up, and I trust when different beings show up, whether I've worked with them or not, called them in or not, or even aware of them. I trust that they're showing up because that's the end of the energy that's needed. Not that my little self says, well, I don't know this energy or I don't like it. It's always going to present me with something that I'm just about to work with, have been working with and don't even know it, or I'm in the throes of working with, or those that view and listen, it's a benefit to them. And it makes sense. We're shifting our inner masculine, which is the structure within. It only makes sense that Serapis Bey would arise for you and that you knew intuitively to do that. He says masculine frequencies support the feminine frequencies. And when the feminine frequencies rise, and someone has been working on that, he says, we will introduce naturally for each soul as they're ready, what they are called to, whichever way it happens, into the masculine structure, because you need to have that contained structure around you to be able to hold that newfound, expanded, intuitive flow. One cannot operate without the other. That is where the imbalances have occurred.
How would you and Serapis Bey around the word safety? Because for me, safety, and not like physical safety, but safety within myself. Because yes, I feel confident in my intuition. I feel confident in sitting with energy, connecting with energy. But
it's so interesting because as you're talking, I feel the need to touch my the side, the temple, the mental body, the third subtle energy body. He's saying safety within the self. That's fine that you follow intuition and you can act on it. But if we go to the mind or the realms of the mind and the thought patterns and the conditioning, One can never feel safe in themselves if they do not feel in control of their inner state or their being. One can never feel safe if they do not feel they can exert their own personal will to have the impact or the protection that they need. In addition, one who has constant criticism inside their own mind, whether it's been ingrained or permeated from an outside influence or whether it's something that one patterns, those are also places where one cannot feel safe when they are criticizing themselves. When somebody is shaming themselves, your inner sanctum is not safe for you. When someone is constantly judging themselves, your inner sanctum is not a safe place. I am not sure that we are necessarily answering the question that you have. Rather, we are identifying and illuminating the inner safety of one's being. For example, those who have experienced great trauma and fractured pieces of the soul based on these deep, profound, sometimes dark, filled with horror kind of a trauma, they're not safe inside themselves. You will never feel safe in the world at large outside of you if you do not feel safe in yourself. In this way, safety is not actually about the feminine energy, the divine mother, the womb of creation. Safety is the masculine structure container within you that allows you to feel safe. This is why the imbalance in the masculine energy is really taking a forefront. This is the year of the snake. It's the rise of the feminine, but it's also the dismantling of the barriers and the walls or the dysfunction of the inner masculine within. And it is about feeling safe within you, and feeling safe within you, just coming from my own dynamic and my own experiences. I feel safe to take risks that most other people wouldn't take. And I feel safe to do that because I know who I am and I know that I will get back up no matter what has occurred. And I'm going to be okay. And I know I can make the best of it. So I feel safe making or taking risks, calculated risks, even though they may not seem that way. They are for me. I feel safe taking those risks because my inner masculine energy is to a point where I can go somewhere and fail, and that is not a detriment to me. I will only ever learn from it. Everything is always working out for me, and I'm safe to make a mistake. I'm safe to fail. I'm safe to say, oh, I could have done that better. Oh, I wish I didn't do that. And know that I am contained and I can do better and I will do better, and that it was meant to occur that way. In this way, I only feel safe in the external world because I feel safe within myself. I don't know if that helps you, but and it's taken me a lot of years to not just slowly layer, like it's been in layers, right? Unpacking each layer one at a time. It's taking me time not only to unpack the layers for me and see it, but also to process it and then be able to witness and observe it in others. Like that stuff just doesn't happen in a snap your fingers, blink of an eye. It is a process. And it's a powerful one. Like, yeah, great. I have all this feminine wisdom and intuition, and I can act on it all day long, which is a masculine balance of that and a respect of it. But in the same token, right now we're coming into a phase where our inner masculine must be aligned with that so that we have a contained structure within us that we feel safe. We don't expand if we don't feel safe to. We don't. And if you have fear inside of you, you will have fear in the world outside of you.
No, I think that was a really good answer, because just being brave enough to admit to yourself that you are your worst enemy
Oh, yeah.
is so powerful. And to be able to stop yourself when you start making that comment about how you look or what you do or what you say,
Mm-hmm.
that is so much power in that. I almost want to link it up to boundaries. When you no longer tolerate treating yourself that way, you also no longer tolerate other people treating you that way. because you are so used to listening to the negative things you say to yourself that when other people are saying it, it's what you're used to.
Absolutely.
Mm.
There's no freedom without boundaries. I have to have a boundary of what I will and will not accept. I have to have a container for my energy. And this is masculine. I have to have that in order for me to feel like I have the freedom to take risks, to say what I want to say, to create what I want to create. When you've got other people crossing your boundaries all the time, there is no freedom because you're always dealing with somebody else's energy. You're always dealing with something else. And having a contained masculine energy and having boundaries provides freedom. Like when I look at dynamics and relationships between other people, we're all our worst enemy at some point in time. We've witnessed other people being their own worst enemy, and we ourselves. I know I've had astronomical moments of being my worst enemy, not because I want to be my worst enemy, but because that's what my unconscious was doing, because that's what I was trained to be and conditioned. That's the I'm embodied to accommodate the world that I was living in. That's just how it was. Nobody taught me that, hold on, you need to have boundaries. Nobody taught me that you need to make sure that you're your number one fan. Nobody taught me that. It was always, if we're outside of you, your number one fan, then you can be your number one fan. But if we don't like it, then you can't like it. Do you know what I mean? There's these
Mm.
dynamics. We learn that. Nobody ever says consciously, I'm going to be my own worst enemy. I'm going to self sabotage. I'm going to sacrifice everything I am and be miserable for everything else outside of me. Do we actively, consciously say that? No. It's fascinating when you look at all these dynamic of interpersonal relationships, how we view ourselves, why we view ourselves the way we do. Safety is a big topic, I feel like, because even if I do feel safe in myself, I may have an experience with somebody outside of me who, despite my setting a boundary, may bully or over topple me, or they're in my frame of my physical body. Like that occurs too, right? Where, yeah, I have a boundary and no, that's not okay. But somebody else not only doesn't recognize that, but abuses that. And that happens too. And those things, there are effects of that to people's inner energy, their inner presence. And when we realign the masculine, that's when shit in the world changes. Yes, it changes because the feminine is rising. We've been doing this for decades. This is not a new concept, but it's required layers and a deep unraveling of conditioning and changing the story for women. But guess what? The forms now have to change. The structures now have to change in order to match that newly elevated feminine energy within us and outside of us in the collective. If you've got, 10 million women who've just risen up into their power, the masculine has to rearrange and shift in order to match and balance it out. You can't maintain the imbalance. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So, yes, we're talking about the external world here and there woven. We're weaving here, is what I feel like we're doing. They're showing me it's like the basket weave where they intertwine, and the intertwining of them strengthens the container of the basket. And sometimes we weave a basket with a cross weave, and sometimes we actually have a basket blueprint or way to weave, I guess you could say. We're touching in on the weavers now, and they're saying every conversation that you and I may have on it is intended to be a weaving. It is not a black and white. Here's 5 steps to knowing you've shifted. There are many nuances and many subtleties, and there are many layers. And sometimes it is only through speaking about an experience, observing it and processing it and sharing it, that some are able to identify where they fall if they do not match the black and white 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signs you've shifted. And in addition, they're saying in telling the story in the process and allowing the divine guidance to come through, whether through Serapis Bey or whether through Isis, allows a grand weaving of the divine elements and a higher dimensional frequency or truth to be woven into the everyday experiences. After all, what is the point of connecting with higher dimensional beings? What is the point of channeling? What is the point of spiritual evolution? It's to take our forms our ways of being and have those shifted to higher dimensional forms with a greater collective purpose, bringing greater peace and greater balance. That's the point. To me, that's the most logical thing in the world. As I said earlier, like nothing exists without the energy building momentum to bring it into a form. It's so fascinating. This is such an epic time to be alive, to be in liminal spaces, to be one thing yesterday and maybe today feeling like you're not that thing anymore, to begin to be able to witness with awareness our dynamics and relational experiences and the difference in frequencies right now has the potential to rapidly evolve consciousness, understanding, and embodiment and presence when we recognize that that's what it can do for us, rather than running away and fearing change, allowing yourself to be in the midst of the conflict. It's such an impactful time. And the new moon in Virgo, I feel like, is an opportunity for us to align. It's like the moon that helps you divine your destiny, right? It gives you structure, it gives you all those different things, allowing you to check off the list what is in my favor, what is honoring me, what benefits me, what is fully me in my energy, versus what a lot of us used to do as people pleasers. Because I am hands down 100% same there, Anna, recovering people pleaser, as they say. Whereas previously it would have been like checking off self-sabotage, self-sacrifice, giving myself away, overburdening myself with other shit. There just is this whole lineup that used to be what I ticked off that I didn't even know that that's what I was ticking off until you come to this awareness where you're like, holy crap, it's such an impactful time. And if we can perceive every experience right now as a gift with curiosity, awareness, and awe, the potential for exponential elevation from one version, one frequency to another is going to be rapid. That's how potent this energy is. And I also feel like we've all been preparing for it. Notice it's been layers. Notice it's been multiple spiritual awakenings. Like, oh, I'm just going through another awakening here. Like, how many is there? Some people say there's only one, or there's only two, or there's only three. But how many areas of our lives do we exist in? How many facets of us is there? How many dimensions are we actually operating on and don't even have awareness of it all at the same time? That to me speaks to multiple spiritual awakenings. Every step on the step of ascension is a new awakening of a sort, is it not, says Serapis Bey?
I'm just seeing something that I saw in meditation yesterday.
Oh,
It keeps coming back, so I just
do
asked you
tell,
to.
do tell.
So I was just planning on doing a silent, calm meditation, no connection, nothing. I have never been good in, or I perceive myself not to be good to recognize energies when they come in, just because I've been scared. What if I guess wrong? So I was sitting there and an energy comes in and I can feel, oh, this is really feminine, playful, like a young energy. And I knew it was Archangel. It's Ariel. Okay, well, show me what you got. And boom, I'm sitting on a Pegasus and we are flying through outer space. And she is somewhat ahead of me. Come on, you need to hurry up. Suddenly we're up in a space which I recognize is a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like light blue sky. And I'm just floating in the air. And she has this like playful grin on her face. Just come on over here, come and see. And there's this really, really, really long line, almost like small Polaroids. And I sort of get this knowing that one of them is one lifetime. And then I see it's like never ending.
Snapshot. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
And I can't see where it starts and I can't see where it ends. And she's like, you need to see it. This is this lifetime that you have now, pointing down to one of them. Can you see everything is going just as you planned? Everything is just, it's right on time. And I'm like, okay, but why are you showing me this? Because I know you think you're not doing enough, but just
Ah,
look at all the healing that you're doing in this lifetime and see how it sort of moves into the your like future lifetimes. And it was like a tree, and from this specific lifetime, all the branches just went out. So you
wow.
could see like this amazing shift from last up to this. So giddy. So that
Oh,
was
that's so amazing, Anna. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. The experiences that we have spiritually, like not everybody shares their spiritual experiences. Some people keep it very on the low key. It's never something that's shared, and other people just openly share them. Thank you for sharing that with us, because I am actually one that I'm seeing a bullseye in the room, 1,000% positive that somebody listening to this needed that visual recount of an experience that you've had that is not something that's tangible where somebody else can affirm it. You must affirm it yourself. We all have wild experiences and they're different. Somebody might have the same spiritual experiences as you for the same purpose, showing the same thing, but in a completely different way. And both of yours are correct. That is just amazing. And I love that we all think we're guessing. Like, what if I get it wrong? Well, are you going to get it wrong, or are you going to perceive it? And are you really guessing, or are you tapping into your soul's knowing? There's a lot of things there, right? I think that's absolutely amazing. And I love the idea of snapshots, right? Of being, here's a snapshot, a Polaroid photo of each life, and you are infinite and it is infinite and you're right on time. Check mark. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know it's beneficial for me to be able to have heard and witnessed one of your many experiences, because I know you have incredible ones all the time. But that one I feel like is important right now for the viewers and the listeners, and for you and for me and all of us.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Anna. Thank you. So, beautiful souls, if you enjoyed this conversation, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and share this podcast or this episode with another beautiful goddess who you feel may benefit it or needs to hear something in it. We're wishing you all a beautiful week or weekend, depending on when you're catching this episode. Happy new moon in Virgo. And we'll see you in next week's episode.